The morning the story of racist boss fired her on the spot, the next day she bought the company, began. The sky over the city was pale and thin, like paper that had been erased too many times. The office tower stood tall and cold in the early light. Its windows looked like 1,000 strict eyes staring down at the streets. Inside, the air smelled like coffee and printer ink. Keyboards clicked like rain on a tin roof. Olivia Bennet walked through the lobby with her head high and her shoulders back. She was calm on the outside. On the inside, her heart beat hard and steady. She was a product lead, known for turning messy ideas into clear, bright tools that users loved. She had led teams through late nights, fixed broken features, and pushed customer happiness higher every quarter. Still, when she stepped into the glass office of CEO Mr. Parker, she felt the old ache she knew too well. The ache of being doubted for things that had nothing to do with her work. The glass office was so clear it felt like stepping into a fishbowl. You could see everything and everyone could see you. Mr. Parker stood behind his desk with a smile that did not reach his eyes. He was tidy in a blue suit, hair slicked back like a blade, and he liked the word fit more than he liked the word fair. He did not ask her to sit. He liked people to stand in front of him while he made them smaller with his words. He said the company was realigning. He said the product group needed a different vibe. He said her leadership style made some folks uncomfortable. He said the two words he loved. Culture fit. He said them slow, as if he was saying something kind, as if he was doing her a favor. The words felt like cold water poured down her back. She knew what he meant. He meant she did not look like him, did not laugh at the same jokes, did not come from the same schools and golf clubs. He meant the silent thing people say when they do not want to say the ugly thing out loud. It was casual and clear. It was unmistakably racist. Olivia looked at him. She breathed in, then out. She felt the muscles in her jaw relax. She thought of her mother's voice, warm and brave. Don't let them tell you your worth. Let your work tell them. Mr. Parker slid a paper across the glass desk. The bottom left corner showed the company's logo, bright and sharp. He asked for her badge and her laptop. He said security would walk her out. For a second, the whole floor felt like it tilted, like standing on a boat in rough water. Then it steadied. Olivia picked up the paper, scanned it, and set it down. "Noted," she said in a voice soft and even. She did not give him her fear. She did not give him her anger. She kept both, like a small fire in her chest that could warm or burn. She placed her laptop on the desk. She slid her badge next to it. She turned, walked to the door, and did not let her shoulders drop. She did not give him that either. In the corridor, the HR manager, Nina, stood waiting. Nina's hair was tied back in a neat bun. Her eyes were red at the edges, like she had slept badly, like she had read too many exit papers. She had a file in her hands and a bruise of worry on her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered, careful, like she was afraid the walls had ears. He said it was about culture." Olivia gave her a small smile, not wide, but real. "I know what he said," Olivia answered. "Thank you for doing your best." Nina nodded. It was a tiny nod, but it held 1,000 words she could not say. Security walked Olivia to the elevator. She stood straight between two tall men in dark suits. People at their desks tried not to look. Some stared. Some looked away quick, as if their eyes had touched something hot. Olivia kept her chin up. She looked at the floor numbers glowing as the elevator sank. She thought of the product timeline sitting on her desk. She thought of the roadmap she had shaped, of the next release that would cut churn by making sign-up smoother, of a new feature that would help users find what they needed in 2 taps instead of 7. She thought of the data she had collected, of the careful notes she had written in the margins, and she thought, none of this vanishes because he decided I don't fit. When she stepped outside, the air felt colder than before. Traffic hissed on wet pavement. A bus rolled by, slow and heavy, filled with faces going to work. She closed her coat and walked, not sure where her feet were taking her, only that they were moving. She turned at a small park with thin trees and metal benches. She sat. She listened to the city breathe. Then she pulled out her phone and sent a text to a number saved under a tiny star. By that evening, her living room was a war room made of light. The table held her laptop, a spiral notebook, 2 pens, and a cup of tea growing cold. Her apartment was small but neat, and the walls were full of books and a large photo of the ocean her sister had taken. The photo always made her feel like there was more space in the world than the space in front of her. She opened her deck, the one she'd worked on late at night, when the apartment above hers played loud music and the city kept whispering dishes and sirens. She shared her screen. On Zoom, boxes popped up with faces she knew from another life. People who believed in numbers and in people, both at once. There was Eleanor Wu, a sharp investor with calm eyes, who had led deals in companies that almost died and then learned to run. There was Dean Patel, a quiet man with a wide brain who loved user research more than he loved boardrooms. There was Luis Romero, a former CTO who now looked for teams that treated users like neighbors, not like targets. More faces joined, smaller names on the bottom row. A legal advisor named Amara, a security expert named Jabril, and a PR strategist named Leo with a gentle voice that could lift hard truths without making them explode. "We're here," Eleanor said. "Walk us through it, Olivia." Olivia clicked. The first slide was simple. A white background, black letters that said, "Users first, always." She talked about churn first, because churn is a quiet thief. She showed how new users hit 3 sharp corners on day 1 and left. She showed how a few changes to the sign-up path, removing a pointless step, making the language clear, letting people try features without walls, could bring churn down by 42% in 6 weeks. She did not puff her chest. She did not hard sell. She showed the flow, the data, and the voices of users she had interviewed. They said simple things like, "This part was confusing," and "I did not know what to click," and "I just wanted someone to talk to me like a person." Then she shifted to upsell. She showed how small, honest prompts at the right time could raise upsell by 18%, not by tricking anyone, but by pointing to real value when a user was ready. She drew a line from every change to a user's story. She tied numbers to the feeling of being seen. She showed how teams worked better when they were diverse, when different minds sat at the table. She shared research papers and internal dashboards. She spoke for 40 minutes and no one interrupted. The Zoom boxes leaned closer, as if they had bodies that could move through screens. When she was done, the room was so quiet she could hear the hum of her fridge. Eleanor was the first to speak. "This is not just a product plan," she said. "It's a company plan." Dean nodded. "He fired you because you don't fit his shape," he said. "Let's change the shape." Luis cleared his throat. "What do you need?" Olivia's hand did not shake when she said it. "I need capital," she said. "I need allies. I need a syndicate that believes we can take this place and make it new. And I need to move now." She explained the situation that had taken shape in her mind that afternoon. The company was public, but the founder had stepped back long ago. Shares were scattered across funds and small holders. A controlling block was possible if the right pieces moved together. Mr. Parker had won his job by pleasing the biggest fund and acting like the hall monitor of culture. But the numbers told a different story. Revenue was flat. The last quarter had missed its goals. Key leaders had left. The street was losing patience. "They want a turnaround," Olivia said. "They want a plan with hands, not just speeches." She posted a plan to a shared folder in the chat. It was titled Olivia Bennett Syndicate. It laid out a path. Buy up undervalued shares overnight through friendly funds, sign a deal with a quiet investor who had been waiting for Parker to slip, and prepare a control vote with a board seat switch. It also listed the hard part. If they won, they had to lead with care, or the company would rip itself apart. Eleanor looked to the side for a moment, then back. "We can move tonight," she said. "I've wanted a reason to move on this one." Dean smiled, a small smile that warmed his face. "I'll call 3 research analysts," he said. "They respect you." Luis checked his phone. "I'll ping 2 funds," he said. "They hate churn more than they hate risk." By midnight, hands were moving all over the city, phones to ears, emails flying quiet and fast. Amara, the legal advisor, drew up clean documents with sharp edges. Jabril checked for risk and found none they could not hold. Leo drafted a note in case the press smelled the wind. Olivia did not sleep. She watched the numbers on the screen. She watched the shares change hands like cards in a fast game. She ate a piece of toast she did not taste. She drank water without looking at the glass. Around 3 in the morning, her phone buzzed. It was a single message from Eleanor. "We have the block." Her apartment was suddenly too small for her joy and her fear. She stood up. She sat back down. She covered her mouth with both hands. She closed her eyes and said thank you, not to anyone in particular, but to the quiet part of the world that rewards people who keep going. She exhaled, slow. She changed into a clean blouse. She tied her hair back. At 5:30, the sun rose, pink and shy. At 6, she left her building and walked to a small diner that opened early. She bought a coffee for herself and one for Nina. She wasn't sure she could get it to her, but she wanted to try. At 8:30 the next morning, the boardroom was a glass box on the top floor, floating above the city like a ship in the sky. The table was long, dark wood, polished so smooth it held every light in the room. The chairs were deep and too big, as if size could make a person important. The secretary, Mara, stood by the door with a stack of folders. She was usually invisible. The way people who make a place work are often invisible to the people who think they run it. Today, her hands trembled just a little. She had a page in her folder with a paragraph highlighted in yellow. The board members arrived one by one, gray hair, strong perfume, heavy watches, eyes full of both boredom and hunger. Mr. Parker arrived last, full of the easy swagger of someone who expected to win even when he had done little to deserve it. He took the head seat and spread his fingers on the table like a king placing his hands on a map. He started to talk, saying words like reposition and synergy. He smiled and nodded at jokes he made himself. Then Mara cleared her throat, small but clear. "Before we begin," she said, reading from the paper, "I am to announce that the controlling stake in the company has transferred to the Olivia Bennett Syndicate." The room went still. The word controlling hung in the air like thunder that has not yet cracked. It felt like a held breath. It felt like a string pulled tight. Mr. Parker's smile broke, then tried to come back, but it was wrong on his face, like a sticker put on crooked and then pressed hard. "What is this?" he asked. "Some prank?" Eleanor stepped into the room from the side door with 2 others, Dean and Luis. Their faces were calm. Their steps were sure. "Not a prank," Eleanor said. "A change." The board members looked at each other like people at a dinner party who had just realized they were at the wrong house. Papers changed hands. Lawyers nodded. The air flickered with shock. Then Olivia walked in. She did not rush. She did not look down. She wore a dark suit and a plain blouse, and she looked like herself. Not more, not less. She stood across from Mr. Parker, and this time she did not feel like she was in a fishbowl. "Good morning," she said. "I'm here to work." Mr. Parker laughed, a loud laugh that sounded like a door slamming. You're out," he said. "You don't fit." He liked the words so much he repeated them. "You do not fit." Olivia looked him in the eye. "You wanted someone who blends," she said. "I blend numbers and lift people." She placed a file on the table. The cover was simple: white paper, black letters, policies for a company that works. She spoke in a voice that was both soft and firm. "In this file is a zero-tolerance anti-discrimination policy," she said. "There is a plan for a pay equity audit. There is a mentorship pipeline for underrepresented hires. There is a clear product vision. If you believe people are the edge, you feed them. You do not cut them to make strangers comfortable." The board read. Some cheeks flushed. Some eyes lowered. Nina stood at the doorway, unsure if she should enter, holding her jacket and a folder. Olivia saw her. "Nina," she called gently, like calling a friend in from the rain. "Would you join us?" Mr. Parker made a face. "HR has no seat here," he said. "That is why we have so many problems," Olivia answered. She looked to the board. "If we want to fix the root, people sits at the table." The room waited. Eleanor met Olivia's eyes and nodded once. "Agreed," Eleanor said. "Please, Nina." Nina stepped in, hands shaking a little, her eyes quick, her heart somewhere in her throat. She took a seat. For the first time in years, she felt like she was allowed to breathe at work. Olivia hinged the policy file open and walked the room through it in plain words that a child could understand. She said, "No one can judge someone's worth because of skin or hair or name. If they do, they cannot work here." She said, "We look at pay. If one person makes more than another for the same work, we fix that gap." She said, "We will teach and lift new voices. We will build a line of mentors so that a person who starts at the front desk can make it to the head seat, if that is where their dream sits." She was not loud. She did not sell it like a product. She laid it down like bricks, straight and strong. Then she opened her product plan. She showed a 12-week sprint map that made sense to the eye. Week 1, remove the useless sign-up step. Week 2, redesign the home page to speak to a user like a friend. Week 3, build short tips that could be turned off. Week 4, create a path that lets small teams use the top feature without a lock. Week 5, test with 5 kinds of users. Week 6, learn. Week 7, adjust. And keep going. She said, "We go simple. We go honest. We go fast, but we do not run over anyone." The board moved in their chairs. They whispered. But the numbers on her slides answered for her. Charts bent in the right direction. The plan was a map with roads that did not end in swamps. Mr. Parker looked smaller. He did not want to be small. He wanted to fight. He wanted to pull hard on fear. "This is chaos," he said. "You want to turn us into a charity. This is business." Olivia looked at him the way you look at a wall you are about to walk past. "This is business," she said. "It is also human. Those things are not enemies." Eleanor folded her hands. "We are taking a vote," she said. Hands rose around the table. Some rose fast, some slow. Enough rose to make the change. It was done. After the meeting, word spilled down the halls like a bright stream after a storm. People lifted their heads from their screens, looked at each other, and then stood to talk in small circles. Rumors slipped into facts when a note went out from the board. Leadership change? Immediate. A town hall at noon. The news spread beyond the building. Cameras gathered on the sidewalks, the lenses long and black like eyes from another world. Olivia met with the executive group in a smaller room. The windows faced the city, and you could see the edges of the river shining. She named Nina head of people. Nina blinked like someone who had just pulled her head above water and seen the sun. "I will not let you down," she said. "You never have," Olivia answered. She laid out the first moves. "Toxic managers," she said. "We will ask them to leave." She had names. Not to sting, but to clean. A director who mocked an engineer's accent. A lead who cut off women in meetings. A VP who gave the hardest jobs to the same 2 people and then took credit for the results. She did not roar. She signed quiet papers. Security, who had walked her out yesterday, would walk them out today. Fair is fair. In the product area, she met the team. The room was full of whiteboards and sticky notes and half-eaten cookies and the soft hum of fans. The team looked nervous. Some were excited. Some were scared. The last year had been a maze. They wanted out. "We are going to build again," Olivia told them. "Not just features, trust." She called on Mateo, a young engineer with tired eyes and a shy voice. "What's the one thing you'd fix first?" she asked. He looked surprised, like no one had asked him a question in a long time. "Onboarding," he said. "Right now it feels like we are yelling at users, not talking to them." She smiled. "Let's make it a conversation." She turned to Priya from sales, who had a head full of numbers and a heart full of care. "What do our customers love?" "When we listen," Priya said. "They stay when they feel heard." "Then we will listen," Olivia said. The room exhaled. It is a quiet sound, but you can feel it when a group lets go of a weight at the same time. At noon, the town hall room was packed. Engineers in hoodies, designers wearing bright shoes, finance folks with neat ties, cleaning staff in blue shirts, security in dark jackets. People crowded the doors and leaned against walls. The air buzzed with talk and hope and worry. The cameras were not allowed in, but press waited outside, hungry with questions. Olivia stood on the stage with a simple microphone. She did not talk from a podium. She stepped to the edge, close to the people. She told them what had happened in clear words. She said why. She said what would change. She did not attack anyone by name. She spoke about behavior, not blood. She said, "I am here because of the work we can do together. Not because I bowed to anyone's idea of what a leader looks like." She laid out the policy. She read the first lines of the anti-discrimination plan. She talked about the pay equity audit and what it meant. She looked at the cleaning crew and said, "Your work matters. Your pay should reflect that." She said there would be a mentorship pipeline that let people rise, not just talk about rising. And then she went to the product plan. She drew on a whiteboard with a marker that squeaked. She drew boxes and arrows that turned into a flow that made sense. She asked for help. "We do this together or we do not do it at all," she said. People clapped. Some cried. Nina stood at the side with her hand over her mouth. That was turning point 2, but another was coming. Change does not arrive without fight. In the afternoon, as teams sorted tasks and removed old roadblocks like pulling weeds, a message went out from an anonymous account on a social site. It said Olivia had scared the board into the move. It said she had threatened to make noise about race if she did not get her way. It said the plan was a joke, that she was a figurehead, that the money had been handed to her as some woke favor. The post used words that cut and spread fast because they were designed to hurt. At the same time, inside the building, someone tried to push a bad update to the main branch. It set flags that would turn features off at login. If it got through, users would see a blank screen for an hour. It might even corrupt data. It felt like a hand had reached into the belly of the company and twisted. Jabril saw the commit in time. He flagged it and rolled it back. He traced the user to a machine in the empty office of a manager who had just been asked to leave. Security footage showed a figure in a cap moving at lunch. It was the old VP with the credit problem. He had slipped in with a borrowed badge. Jabril called building security. Security called the police. They found him in the lobby, fumbling with the phone, face pale. Meanwhile, the rumor outside grew teeth. A big blog picked it up, then a bigger one. Reporters called the front desk. The story was going to turn ugly unless someone told the truth. Leo's phone lit up like a tree. He stood in Olivia's office doorway, where she was sitting with Matteo and Priya talking about page load time. "We have a narrative fire," he said, voice steady. "Do you want a hose or a bucket?" She looked at the whiteboard, at the clock, at the pile of work that did not care about scandal. She stood. "Both," she said. They turned the conference room into a command center. Leo wrote 3 sentences on the board. 1. Speak only facts. 2. Don't feed the trolls. 3. Put people first. Olivia nodded. "Let's go." They released a short statement that told the truth in plain words. The board had shifted based on performance and plan, not pressure. A syndicate had bought a controlling stake. The new leadership had been chosen for experience and vision. The company would not engage with lies but would answer honest questions. They offered a press call at 4 p.m., 30 minutes from now. Leo prepped Olivia with 3 points and a deep breath. Dean and Eleanor joined the call. Reporters asked hard questions with sharp points. Some were fair. Some were not. Olivia kept her voice low and clear. She didn't spike the ball. She did not defend herself like someone in a corner. She walked forward. She talked about users, market, and team. She talked about building. She did not say Mr. Parker's name. She repeated her points. She did not fight the ugly words. She grew past them. While she spoke, Jabril and Amara finished the internal investigation on the sabotage try. They had video and logs. With legal care, they made a report that told the story without heat. Security escorted the old VP to the door. He tried to spit words at the camera, but it did not change the facts. The story outside began to fade, because it had nothing real to hold. You cannot feed a rumor the truth and expect it to live. By evening, the building felt different. You could sense it in small ways. People laughed at normal volume. No one flinched when a manager passed by. The break room filled with chatter that was not nervous. Olivia walked the floor with Nina. They stopped at each pod. They talked to the team one by one. The sun set into gold behind the skyline and then slid into blue. The office lights became a careful galaxy. "I want to show you something," Nina said. She led Olivia to a back hallway where the cleaning team kept their supplies. Ms. Lords stood there, a woman with kind eyes and strong hands. She was not used to being part of big moments. She thought she was in trouble. Nina smiled. "You're not," she said. "We just wanted to thank you for keeping this place clean every day, even when people are messy with their hearts." Ms. Lords laughed, a loud, warm sound that made the hall feel smaller in a good way. "I like when people see me," she said. "Most don't," Olivia nodded. "We see you," she said. "Tomorrow we will talk about pay. We will talk about hours. We will talk about how to make this a better job." Ms. Lords looked like someone had opened a window in a stuffy room. "Thank you," she said, and then she went back to her cart because the floors still needed to shine. The next days were the kind of days that make a person earn their title. Meetings stacked like blocks. Decisions fell into lines. Work streamed from heads to tickets to code. Olivia split her time between product rooms, legal calls, and the quiet space where she read customer emails. She always read customer emails. She answered some herself. She learned a user's name and their favorite feature and the thing they hated. She wrote small notes in the margins of her mind. The pay equity audit began under Nina's lead. They looked at numbers that had been kept in shadows for too long. When they found a gap, they made a plan to close it, not with someday, but with dates. A mentor program went live. Junior employees paired with seniors who cared. They made space for people to meet, ask, try, fail, try again. The product sprint moved like a march with music. Matteo led the onboarding team. He spoke up more. His small ideas were not small at all once they were built. Priya brought back stories from customers. A teacher who used the product to connect shy students to homework help. A small clinic that kept patient notes clean because the interface no longer felt like a puzzle. Every day, wins stacked like smooth stones. Every day, they had to hold the line against old habits that wanted to creep back. Someone tried to hire a buddy's buddy without a process. Nina said no and showed a fair path. Someone wrote a status update that used vague words to hide a miss. Olivia circled it in red, not to shame, but to clear the fog. When people work in fog, they trip. She wanted them to see the path. On the third Friday, they had the first all-hands check-in. The auditorium was full again. Olivia stood with a simple deck. She showed the numbers. Churn bending down, gently but truly. Upsell bending up, not from tricks but from trust. Support tickets going down because the product was less confusing. She called out teams by name. She said why they mattered. She thanked the finance folks who had cleaned the books until they gleamed. She thanked the design team for making screens you could understand at a glance. She thanked the night security guard who had shared a note about a door that didn't lock right. They fixed the door the next day. She ended with a story about a bus driver named Alma, who used the app on her phone after long shifts. Alma said, "I don't have time to feel dumb," Olivia said. She said, "I want the app to feel like a friend who talks straight. We are building for Alma." The room clapped again, but this time it felt like the sound had roots. That weekend, Olivia visited her mother on the edge of the city. The apartment smelled like rice and ginger and fresh laundry. The small plant by the window had new leaves. Her mother had seen the news. She held Olivia's face and said, "I knew." Olivia laughed into her mother's shoulder. She ate a bowl of soup that tasted like safety and history. They did not talk about Parker. They talked about work as building, about leadership as a kind of caretaking. Her mother said, "Power is not a coat you put on. It is a lamp you carry." Olivia wrote that down in her notebook. On the way home, the night air felt like a soft blanket. The city hummed. She walked by a storefront and saw her reflection in the glass. She looked like someone who could do hard things. But the biggest test came a month later. They were close to the first public release under the new plan. The code was ready, the support team trained, The marketing page edited until even a tired person could read it and smile. Then an old partner called and said they were pulling out. They said their new CEO did not trust the new direction. It would hurt. It would slow a key feature. It would make some users wait. It was a test. Olivia called a meeting. She laid out the facts. She did not sugarcoat. "We can be angry," she said. "We can be sad. But we will not beg to keep a partner who does not respect our path." She asked for ideas. The room was quiet for a minute. Then folks started to speak. Matteo suggested a simpler way to handle the partner's part ourselves, just for the core use. It would not be fancy, but it would work. Priya said 3 customers had asked for something close to this already, and they would even pay to help it happen faster. The design team sketched a small but clean interface that could ship in 2 weeks. Jabril set up a safe tunnel so they could ramp it up without breaking anything. It was hard, but it was doable. They did it. The release landed. The earthquake did not come. The sky did not fall. The street noticed something else. A company that did not flinch when pushed, that moved like a team in step. That night, Olivia sat alone in her office with the lights dim. The city shone beyond the glass like a sea of stars that never slept. She wrote a letter to herself. It said, "You were told you did not fit. You built a bigger room." She did not know if she would ever read it again, but the act of writing it made her hands steady. She closed her notebook. She went to the break room for tea. As the water boiled, Nina walked in, hair down now, shoulders loose. "We just finished the first pass of the pay audit," Nina said, smile tired but real. "We found gaps. We have a plan to close them. We will send out the letters next week." Olivia's eyes felt wet. She did not fight the tears. "Good," she said. "That is the kind of email I have wanted to send my whole career." Nina laughed, not loud, but true. "We're doing it," she said. "We are," Olivia answered. The next morning, there were cameras again. This time, Olivia did not duck them. She walked out the revolving doors on her way to a community event the company was hosting with a local school. Reporters shouted questions. They asked about the numbers, about the changes, about rumors of more shifts. She paused. She did not plan a speech. She just told the truth, the way she had in the boardroom. "Power has no color, results do," she said. Her voice carried clean across the sidewalk. "Judge us by what we build and by who we lift." The clip would play on loop all day. People in other buildings would stop and listen. Some would nod. Some would feel a small window in their hearts open and let in new air. It is not every day you hear words that simple and that brave at the same time. Weeks stretched into a season. The company's halls looked different. The people looked different because they felt different. The mentorship program grew. The pay letters went out. The new onboarding flow dropped help tickets by half. The dashboard in the product room showed churn down 42%. The upsell graph bent up 18%. No one cheered at the graph. They smiled like people who see their garden give fruit after long, quiet work. They took a picture, not to brag, but to remember. Olivia kept a copy of the first day's exit paper in a folder at the back of her drawer. It was a reminder of what you can do with pain when you do not let it run your life. Sometimes she would take it out, look at it, and then put it back, like checking a scar and feeling no fear. One afternoon, as the team prepared for the next release, Olivia walked the block alone. The air smelled like rain coming. She passed a bus stop. A woman in a bright orange jacket sat on the bench, a black lunchbox in her lap. She looked tired in the way people who carry cities look tired. Her phone was in her hand. The screen showed the product. The woman tapped and a small smile crossed her face. She nodded to herself, put the phone away, and stood as the bus sighed to a halt. Olivia stood there a while after, hands in her coat pockets. She did not tell the woman who she was. She did not need to. The nod was enough. Then came the day they changed the sign on the front door. It still had the same name. Brands do not change overnight. But beneath it, in small letters, they added a line, built by many, for all. Some people laughed. Some rolled their eyes. But more people read it and, without telling anyone, stood taller when they walked past it. It is a strange gift of words to make people feel their own weight in a good way. On a quiet evening, months later, with the company steady and the roads ahead clear but not easy, Olivia wrote a note for new hires. She kept it pinned to a wall by the entrance to the product floor. It said, "Welcome. Here we try to see you for your work and your heart. We will make mistakes. We will say sorry. We will learn. We will talk to our users like people. We will sit with hard facts and not cover them with fancy words. We will share credit like bread. We will fire those who hurt others. We will support those who want to grow. We will remember that the best product is built by a team that laughs at least once a day." On the anniversary of the big change, they had a small party. Not loud, not wild. Cupcakes on a table. A playlist someone made with songs from many homes. People from departments that rarely spoke hugged like cousins. Olivia stood by the window with Nina. "Do you ever miss the old calm?" Nina asked, joking but also serious. Olivia smiled. "It was not calm," she said. "It was stuck." "Stuck can look like calm." Nina nodded. "True," she said. She raised her paper cup. "To movement," she said. Olivia raised hers. "To movement," she said, and they drank sweet punch that stained their tongues. Late that night, Olivia walked the halls after most had gone home. She liked the office when it was empty. Chairs seemed to rest. Screens looked like sleeping eyes. She paused by a desk where a junior engineer had left a small drawing. It showed a ladder leaning against a high wall. On the wall, someone had painted a door. The ladder reached the painted door and kept going up until it touched the real window. Under it, in neat little letters, the engineer had written, "Do not let them tell you the only door is the painted one." Olivia took a picture of it to keep. It was simple, like the sentences in her mother's voice. It reminded her what leadership was for. Sometime after midnight, when the building hummed only with the sound of distant air, she sat alone in the boardroom where Mr. Parker used to sit at the head table. She did not take his chair. She sat in the middle, as if to say the center is not the throne of one, but the place where many paths meet. She opened a fresh page in her notebook and wrote, "Be the lamp." Then she drew a small light above it. She closed the book and looked out at the lights of the city that held so many stories like hers. She did not feel taller. She did not feel smaller. She felt right-sized for the work in front of her. The next morning, another set of cameras waited outside. She walked out, past the doors, past the quiet fountain, past the reporters who had learned she would talk if they asked a real question. A young journalist, new to the job, asked, "What's the lesson here?" His voice trembled just a bit. She stopped. She thought of all the days between the glass office and this sidewalk. She thought of the scar in the back of her drawer. She thought of the ladder and the painted door. "The lesson," she said, "is that power is a tool, not a face. It should build, not bruise. The lesson is that numbers matter and people matter more, and the best way to honor both is to aim for the long good, not the quick win." She smiled, small but real. And the simple lesson is the same as the day this started. Power has no color. Results do. She walked on, into a day full of work that would look small if you only loved drama, and big if you loved making things better. Inside, teams were already shipping small fixes, answering users, mentoring juniors, and updating the plan. The company lived in the honest rhythm of people who know their work and respect each other while doing it. The city kept breathing. The river kept shining. The office tower, which once felt like a cruel eye, now looked like a lighthouse. In the end, the story was not about revenge. It was about repair. It was not about one person becoming a hero. It was about a group becoming a true team. It began with a cold, clean moment in a glass room and moved through long nights, close calls, and 1,000 choices where someone chose to be kind and brave instead of small and safe. It closed with a company that looked more like the world, a product that felt more like a friend, and a leader who never forgot the day she kept her anger like a small fire and used it to warm a room instead of burning it down. And if you ever forget how it all began, just read the name of the story again, because it carries the whole arc in 12 plain words that still make the heart stand up straight. Racist boss fired her on the spot. The next day, she bought the company.